Hey coach, if you're struggling to generate a meaningful and predictable income for your coaching business, I get it. I've been there and I know exactly how frustrating it can be, especially if you need your coaching business to work. But you're in luck. In this video, I'm going to show you exactly what I did to turn that around and go from inconsistent and insignificant income to generating a meaningful income for my coaching business that allowed me to retire my 9 to 5 before age 40. Now, if we haven't met, hey, I'm Nathan, and I went from a struggling vocal coach to growing my coaching business to $5,000 plus per month while I was working 8 hours a week and full-time employed. Since then, I've worked with more than 1,000 coaches to help them grow their coaching businesses, and here is what I have learned. You see, every business, including yours and my coaching business, is made up of these three core components. Marketing, which is how we attract and get the attention of strangers on social media who match our ideal client profile and move them or draw them closer to us. All right. And then you have sales, which is how we then convert those now attracted potential clients into paying clients. And then finally, you have fulfillment, which is how you then deliver on the promise you make to your now paying clients to get them their desired outcome. When most people try to fix this inconsistent income in their coaching businesses, what they try to double down on is sales and marketing. At least that's exactly what I did. And so I was very active on social media. I was posting every single day and I was getting attention. And when I was lucky, some people even jumped on sales calls with me. And guess what? I landed clients. But because I lacked the firm foundation on which all profitable coaching businesses are built, I still had inconsistent income and insignificant income in my business. No amount of sales and marketing can make up for the lack of a solid business foundation. And that's exactly what I'm going to show you how to do, how to lay that foundation in this video. Hey coach, quick reminder. If you know you have value to offer the marketplace, but you are struggling to grow your coaching business, then I would like to invite you to join my private online community, the Coaching Hub. When you join, not only will you get access to more than 1,000 coaches who are all in the community to both grow their coaching business and connect with other coaches who are there to do the same, but you will also get access to the Profitable Coach Roadmap. Now, this is my 3-day online training that will show you exactly how to lay the firm foundation on which all profitable coaching businesses are built. Because coach, no amount of sales and marketing can make up for a poor business foundation. You can both join the community and get access to the training for free. I look forward to connecting with you. Now let's get back to the video. Okay, so what exactly is a solid business foundation? Well, there are 3 things. You know who you help, that's your ideal client. You know what problem you help them solve, that is your offer. And you are also very clear on how you help them solve that problem. If you don't have this locked down, if you've not laid this firm foundation, then no amount of sales and marketing is going to help you generate a more meaningful and predictable income stream. When I started my vocal coaching business, I worked with anyone who was willing to pay, not my ideal clients. I worked for any price. I didn't have a set price and I kept lowering my price to land clients. And also didn't really know how long clients would stay. And so I dropped my price all the way down to about 100 Rand a session. That's about $5. And some people stayed for 3 sessions. Some people stayed for 10 sessions. Some people, if I was lucky, stayed for 12 sessions. But the truth is, I had no real grip on how much a client was actually worth to me. Why is this a problem? Because a lack of a firm foundation in my coaching business meant a lack of predictability. Now, why is a lack of predictability a problem? Well, if things aren't predictable in your business, then you cannot plan. And we all know the old saying, if you fail to plan, then you plan to fail. You simply cannot be strategic in your business or think long-term if you lack predictability. Here's one way to think about this. If your goal is to generate $10,000 in your coaching business, well, you need to break that down into the things you can do today to achieve that goal. But if you don't have predictable inputs And if you don't have a predictable process, how can you determine that the actions you perform today will lead to you generating $10,000 in the future for your coaching business? And by when are you expecting to generate this $10,000? This lack of predictability means you simply cannot plan. And the only reason you would want to plan is because you have future goals that you would like to achieve. Without a foundation, you have no predictability, and without this predictability, you will have zero business growth, at least no meaningful business growth. So just ask yourself, what does your business look like? Do you have a set price for your coaching program? Is it $100? Is it $5,000? Is it $500? Do you have a set price for your coaching program? How about the duration? How long do your ideal clients work with you to get the desired outcome? Do you have a 4-week coaching program? Do you have a 10-week coaching program? A 12-week coaching program? Or are you just working on a per session basis where you're not sure whether the client will stay for 1 session, 3 sessions, 10 sessions, or 12? If your current situation in your coaching business is much like the way I ran my coaching business when I just got started, then you lack predictability in your coaching business. And for that reason, you will not grow your business meaningfully and predictably. It is near impossible for you to determine what the actions are that you need to take today to grow your coaching business. Coach, if you take nothing else away from this video, know this: without predictability, you simply cannot grow your coaching business. On the other hand, once you have laid the firm foundation on which all profitable coaching businesses are built, you will now have predictability in your coaching business. You will have predictable inputs, your ideal clients, that you take through a predictable process, your signature framework or your coaching program, and it produces a predictable outcome that is value or impact for your ideal clients and income for your business, predictable, meaningful income for your coaching business. If you know what a client is worth to you in dollars, then you can also determine what you can afford to spend to acquire clients in the first place. Here's an example. Let's suppose that you're a fitness coach and you work with your clients for $100 a month. And you knew that the average client would stay with you for a duration of 3 months. This means that your customer lifetime value is $300. Why is this important? Well, you now know how much you can afford to spend to get a client and still be profitable. Even if it cost you $100 to get a client, that's 1,500 South African, then you would still make a 3x return on investment if you spent $100 to get a client that was actually worth $300. I would make that investment every single day. Heck, most businesses have a 50% profit, a 25% profit. We're not talking about percents here. We're saying you will make a 3x return on investment. Now, why is that important? Well, if you knew that your revenue goal was to make $3,000 a month, which would equal 10 clients, and you know that your customer acquisition cost or the cost to acquire a customer was $100, well, you'd simply say 10 clients times $100 is equal to $1,000. So you would essentially have to invest $1,000 in advertising to acquire 10 clients, which would give you $3,000. That is a $2,000 profit, and that is how you predictably scale your coaching business. By getting clear on the unit economics. What is a client actually worth to you, and how much can you afford to spend to get a client at that price point? But none of this is possible until you have laid a firm foundation for your coaching business. Now, there are 3 questions you need to answer to lay this firm foundation for your coaching business. Number 1, who do you help? This is your ideal client profile. I've made a video about this. You can simply go and check it out on the channel. Number 2, what problem do you help them solve? This is your offer. You want to both be able to put an offer together that makes sense for your coaching business, but you also need to be able to craft an irresistible offer. And that simply means you want to be able to communicate the value you provide the marketplace with in a way that the marketplace perceives as valuable. If you don't do this, you will not make any sales. And the third question you need to answer is, how do you help them? Now, this is your structured coaching program, or what I like to call your signature framework. In this video, I'm going to show you how to put together a signature framework for your coaching business. And again, this signature framework will take in predictable inputs, your ideal clients. Take them through a predictable process, which is the signature framework, and produce a predictable outcome: income for your business, impact for your ideal clients. Now, there are three core components to designing a signature framework for your coaching business. The first thing we must establish is what I call the value spectrum. This is the distance from where your ideal clients are right now, characterized by the maximum pain and minimum value and pleasure related to the problem your coaching program solves. That is point A. And then the distance between that point A and point B, which is the maximum value, minimum pain related to the problem your coaching program solves. And so simply think of it this way. Point A is a really bad situation, but it is where they are. And point B is where they want to be. It is blissful ecstasy. So to give you a better idea on how to do this for yourself, let me show you what my value spectrum looks like. At point A, I have qualified coaches who know they have value to offer the marketplace, but they are constantly posting on social media, not seeing any business growth from it. When they finally get to jump on sales calls, they're constantly lowering their prices to land clients because they struggle to position themselves as experts. And finally, they cannot generate a meaningful and predictable income for their coaching business. But then on the opposite end of the value spectrum, my ideal clients have a system for delivering value to the marketplace, have a system to convert potential clients into paying clients, and they have a system to attract total strangers on social media and convert them into paying clients. This system is what brings about this predictability, and for that reason, they generate anywhere from $1,000 to $5,000 plus per month. That is what my value spectrum looks like. Coach, you need to do the exact same thing for your coaching business. Once you've identified the value spectrum, you need to map out the longest path. Now, the longest path is every single step you took to get from where you were to where you are now. Hopefully, as a coach, you are the proof of the process you preach. In other words, you have experienced the transformation for yourself, and now you want to help others experience the same. If that is the case, you want to map out every single thing you did to get from where you were, characterized by maximum pain and minimum value, to get to where you are right now. For me, that looks a little bit like firstly trying to do every single thing on my own. I wasted a lot of time on YouTube videos and reading books, thinking I knew how to grow a business. Then I tried every single free tool because I thought free was actually cheaper. I now know that it's much more expensive. Then I burnt myself buying a few courses instead of working with people who had actually done or were doing the thing I wished to do. And eventually, when I got sick of failing and falling alone, I sought out someone who was running the kind of coaching business I wanted to run. And almost like magic, I went from a struggling vocal coach to growing a highly profitable vocal coaching business. So that is what the longest path looks like for me. Why is this important? This kind of messaging can be used in your marketing material. Why is that important? Because your ideal clients are probably making all of the avoidable mistakes you made along the way. When you take this kind of message into the marketplace, you will get a lot more people who resonate with your story to move closer toward you. And then finally, you want to outline the shortest path from point A to point B. For me, that looked like first clarifying and then validating my coaching offer. Then I designed a sales system that predictably converted a percentage of people in the system into paying clients. And then I developed a marketing system to attract total strangers on social media and lead them into my sales process. That is the shortest path to growing or building a coaching business. You need to do the exact same thing for yourself. Now, whether someone needs to take all three steps or just one of those steps, they are not paying me for steps or sessions. That's not the investment. They are paying to get access to the framework. Whether they go through that in record time or they need more time and support is inconsequential. What is important to me is that I have a set price for access to my coaching program because that is the actual product, the asset. And now to achieve my revenue goals, I simply need to answer the question, how many people do I need to invest in the coaching program to achieve these goals? It's that simple. Now, coach, if you made it this far in the video, it's probably because you know you have not laid the firm foundation on which all profitable coaching businesses are built. And that's okay. In fact, that's exactly the way it is for most coaches, but it doesn't have to be that way. If you would like a tailor-made game plan from me as to how you can go about taking what you learned in this lesson and apply it for your coaching business so that you can lay this firm foundation, I'd like to invite you to book a free 45-minute one-on-one coaching session with me, which I call the Profitable Coach Audit and Action Plan. On this call, we will look at your business goals, and then we'll also look at your business through the lens of sales, marketing, and fulfillment to try and identify what constraints exist that are preventing your business from growing. And based on what we find, I will give you a tailor-made game plan to help you remove those constraints. Why? Because it's this simple. If you remove the constraints in your business, the things preventing you from growing, you will grow your business. I look forward to connecting with you on the Audit and Action Plan, and I'll see you in the next lesson.